The starship Varela drifted through the endless darkness of space like a silver arrow. It was one of the finest ships in the Galactic Union fleet, home to over 400 beings from 50 different worlds. Every corridor hummed softly with power, and the large viewing windows revealed stars that burned like tiny, distant fires. At the center of it all stood Captain Alaris Vin, a tall alien woman from the warrior planet Zathar Prime. Her skin shimmered faintly with a silver-blue hue, and on her back ran a pattern of glowing biocrystals that pulsed gently when she was angry, focused, or deep in thought. Her species used those crystals for energy regulation, but among outsiders they were considered both beautiful and intimidating. Alaris was known for her discipline and control. Nothing escaped her attention. That was why she noticed it almost immediately. One of her new crew members, a human engineer named Lieutenant Daniel Cross, kept staring at her. At first, she ignored it. Humans were often curious about her kind. The Zathari looked like living sculptures, strong, graceful, and bright. But this man's gaze was different. It wasn't admiration. It was study, observation, something that carried quiet confusion and fear behind it. Every time she turned, he looked away. Every time she left the room, he followed her with his eyes. It went on for days. Finally, during the ship's evening cycle, Alaris had enough. She was standing on the bridge, reviewing reports with her first officer, when she felt that familiar weight of eyes on her back again. The hum of the engine seemed louder than usual. She turned sharply. Daniel froze mid-step, datapad in hand. "Lieutenant Cross," Alaris said in a calm, cold voice, "you have been staring at me for 3 days. I will have an answer now." The bridge went silent. Even the navigation officers pretended to busy themselves with their screens. Everyone had seen it too, the human's strange behavior. Daniel swallowed hard. "Ma'am, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. It's just, your back, my back?" she repeated, eyes narrowing. The lights on her crystalline skin flared slightly. "Explain," Daniel hesitated. His hand trembled slightly as he raised his datapad. "It's the pattern, the formation of your crystals." "I've seen it before," Alaris blinked once. "Impossible. This formation is unique to me and my bloodline." "That's what I thought," Daniel said quietly, "until I checked the Union archives last night." He tapped his datapad and brought up a hologram, a strange circular image, glowing with blue lines that formed the exact same pattern as the one on her back. It was a symbol found in ancient human records, something thousands of years old. Alaris stared at it in silence. The resemblance was perfect. Every curve, every line. "Where did you find that?" she asked softly. "In a data fragment," Daniel said, "recovered from a crashed Terran probe on Mars. It was filed as a historical curiosity. But when I saw your crystal formation on the bridge, I knew I'd seen that pattern somewhere. I checked, and it matched exactly." Alaris stepped closer, her tall figure towering over him. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with anger but curiosity. "You suggest my body carries a human symbol?" "I don't know what to suggest," Daniel said. "I'm an engineer, not a historian. But it's there." And I needed to be sure. For the first time in her career, Alaris didn't know what to say. Her people had evolved on Zathar Prime long before the Galactic Union was born. The idea that her genetic pattern had any link to humanity, a young species barely 5 centuries into space travel, was absurd. Yet the proof was right there, glowing in midair. The silence stretched too long. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, Alaris straightened. Her calm voice returned, but her tone carried steel. "Lieutenant, you will meet me in my quarters at 1900 hours. Bring every file you have." "Yes, Captain," Daniel said quietly. The hologram vanished, leaving only the hum of the bridge. The rest of the day passed slowly. Daniel could feel the weight of what had happened pressing on him. Every corridor seemed to whisper with curiosity. He could almost hear the words being passed from crew to crew. The captain summoned the human. He didn't know what she would do. The Zathari were known for their pride and temper. To suggest their lineage had any connection to humans might even be seen as an insult. By the time he reached her quarters that evening, his hands were still shaking. The door opened with a hiss, revealing a wide chamber filled with soft blue light. The walls shimmered like living metal, reflecting the captain's calm yet watchful expression. "Enter," she said. Daniel stepped in, clutching his datapad like a shield. Alaris was sitting beside a table, her back turned slightly toward him. The crystals along her spine glowed faintly, and now that he was closer, he could see the intricate design, a spiral of connected nodes, almost like a constellation map. "Show me the data," she said. He placed the datapad on the table. The hologram appeared again, a rotating 3D image of the old symbol, recorded from a broken probe found centuries ago on Mars. Alaris leaned closer. The lights in her crystals brightened to match the hologram's glow. For a moment, both patterns pulsed in sync, her living crystals and the ancient human design. Daniel stepped back. "Do you see it?" Her voice came out lower this time. "I see it. But I do not understand it," Daniel sighed. "Neither do I. But the probe that carried this data was sent by the first Earth Science Coalition almost 10,000 years ago. They were studying biosignal replication, trying to send self-adapting DNA into deep space, hoping it could survive and evolve on new worlds." Alaris turned her head slightly. "You mean a weapon?" "No, a creation," Daniel said softly. "They wanted to give life where there was none." The silence grew heavy again. Finally, she asked, "You think your ancestors made mine?" "I think it's possible," Daniel said. "But maybe it's more complicated than that. Maybe your people evolved from something that came from us, or maybe we came from something that came from you." She studied him carefully, eyes reflecting cold starlight. "Human philosophy," she said finally. "Always searching for roots in the dust." Daniel smiled weakly. "Maybe. But dust remembers things, Captain." For the first time that day, a small, almost invisible smile touched Alaris's lips. It disappeared as quickly as it came. She turned her gaze to the stars outside the window. "Do you know what the Zathari believe?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "We believe our ancestors were born from the fire of a dying star. When its heart broke, it scattered its light into the sky. That light touched our world and gave us life. We call ourselves the children of flame." "That's beautiful," Daniel said quietly. Alaris nodded. "And now you tell me that same flame might have burned first on your Earth." He said nothing. There was nothing more he could say. The captain stood slowly and walked toward the window. Her reflection shimmered on the glass, tall, graceful, her crystals glowing softly in rhythm with the ship's core. "You should not have come to me with this, human," she said without turning. "Such discoveries, they cause fear." "I know," Daniel said. "But if what I found is real, the Union needs to know. It means we're not strangers in this galaxy. We're family." Alaris turned to face him again, her expression unreadable. "Family," she repeated. "A strange word to use for creators and creations." She took one step closer, her voice lowering. "And if your kind truly made mine, tell me, Lieutenant. Why do I feel nothing of you in me?" Daniel met her gaze. "Maybe because evolution forgot. Maybe because time made us different. But somewhere in your DNA, something still remembers us. That's why I recognize the pattern. That's why I couldn't stop looking." Alaris studied him in silence. Then, with a quiet sigh, she said, "You will not speak of this to anyone. Not until I decide what to do with this information. Is that understood?" "Yes, Captain." "Good." She turned back toward the stars. Her crystals dimmed slightly, the glow fading into the quiet hum of the ship. Daniel left her quarters feeling both relieved and terrified. He knew he had just uncovered something ancient, something that connected humanity and Zathar Prime in a way no one had ever imagined. As the door closed behind him, Alaris placed a hand on her back. For the first time, she could feel the faint warmth of the crystals against her palm, a pulse that almost felt alive, like a heartbeat answering a call from far away. And somewhere deep in the ship's archive, the old Terran data file flickered once more, as if responding to her touch. The stars outside shimmered, and Captain Alaris Vin whispered softly to herself, "Why do you keep staring at my back, human?" Perhaps now, I begin to understand. The corridors of the Varela were quieter than usual the next morning. The crew moved efficiently, but their eyes kept darting toward the bridge. Rumors spread fast, faster than any official announcement. The captain had summoned a human to her quarters for something secret and important. Daniel Cross felt the weight of those eyes on his back as he walked past, but he ignored them. He had more pressing thoughts. He couldn't stop thinking about what he had shown Alaris yesterday. The ancient symbol, the glowing crystals on her back, the possibility that humans had influenced the evolution of Zethar Prime. It was almost too much to comprehend. And yet, in some strange way, it made sense. As he prepared his datapad for a full report, the ship's communication system beeped. It was Alaris, Lieutenant Cross, her voice echoed across the hallways. "Report to my quarters immediately." Daniel's stomach tightened. He hurried, the echo of his boots on the metal floor loud in the silence. When he entered, he found Alaris standing by the viewport, staring out at a distant nebula that shimmered like liquid fire. The glow of her crystals was stronger than yesterday, casting soft light across the room. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a chair across from her. Daniel obeyed. He placed his datapad on the table. "Tell me everything," she demanded, her tone calm but carrying an unmistakable edge. Daniel began carefully, explaining how he had discovered the symbol in the Terran archives, how it matched the pattern of her crystals, and how the old probe from Mars had recorded it. He described the biosignal research from thousands of years ago, humans sending self-replicating DNA into space in hopes of creating life on other planets. Alaris listened silently, her glowing eyes fixed on him. The more he spoke, the more her expression changed. At first it was disbelief, then confusion, finally something like awe. "You are saying," she said slowly, "that humans may have planted life that became my people?" Daniel nodded. "It seems that way. Your DNA carries the same markers that our earliest terraforming program sent out. Somehow it evolved into a sentient species. Your people." Alaris turned her back slightly, letting the glow of her crystals illuminate the room. "Then everything we believed about our origin, about the Children of Flame, may not be entirely true." Daniel hesitated. "I don't know if I'd say that. Your people are still very much Zethari. The human influence may have started it, but you became your own species. Independent, powerful, intelligent." She studied him for a long moment. "Powerful, yes. Intelligent, yes. But my people, were we truly born of fire or of your kind science?" Daniel shook his head. "I can't answer that. But I can tell you this, we created possibilities. Nature finished the work." Alaris leaned back, the faint hum of her crystals filling the quiet room. "And yet somehow you recognized me." "Why?" Daniel hesitated. "Because even if evolution changes you, some things remain. Patterns, connections, memory stored in genes. I didn't consciously recognize it at first, but something inside me remembered. That's why I stared." For the first time, Alaris did not respond immediately. She turned fully, walking slowly to the center of the room, her long limbs moving with effortless grace. Her gaze seemed to stretch beyond the walls, reaching into the stars. "So humans played the role of creators," she said finally. "But you were unaware of it, like children discovering their own parents in the stars." Daniel swallowed. "Yes. And I think you need to know the full truth before it spreads. If the rest of the Union knew, it could change everything. Politics, alliances, even the way different species see themselves. Humans might be feared, or revered." Alaris's crystals pulsed brighter, her pulse quickening as she absorbed the implications. She turned sharply. "And what do you feel about this? You humans were the origin, yet so small, fragile, yet capable of seeding an entire species?" Daniel shrugged, trying to hide his nervousness. "I feel awe and responsibility. If what we did then echoes through the stars now, we have to be careful not to destroy what we helped start." Alaris considered this. Her eyes softened slightly and the harsh lines of her face relaxed. "Responsibility," she repeated. "Perhaps that is something your species learned very early, before even knowing your own power." The moment hung between them, heavy with the weight of discovery. Then Daniel said, "Captain, if this is true, it could explain why your people and humans share more than just occasional similarities. Things like creativity, problem-solving, even instinctive courage, they may have roots in the same source." Alaris's eyes widened slightly. "Are you suggesting that our ability to fight, to endure, to adapt, was inherited from humans?" "Partially, yes," Daniel said. "And yet the rest is entirely Zethari. You became the beings you are. Humans may have planted the seed, but your evolution was entirely your own." Alaris paced the room, her reflection in the viewport splitting into two, her crystalline glow mirrored in the starlight. "Then perhaps there is a connection we have forgotten. A bond with a species we once created but did not recognize. A history buried in both our bloodlines. Daniel looked at her, trying to gauge what she might do with this revelation. You don't have to decide right now, he said. But if we can study this, understand it, maybe we can prevent conflicts. Maybe we can work together not as strangers, but as distant family. Alara stopped pacing and turned fully to him. Her crystals shimmered like liquid silver. Family, she said softly. You use the word lightly, human. I was born to fight, to lead, to protect my people. What does that word mean to a species that planted the seeds of life in another? Daniel hesitated. It means connection, responsibility. Knowing that your actions matter to someone else, even far away, even across centuries. Ilaris was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke again, almost to herself. If what you say is true, then humans are remarkable. Even in their small beginnings, they shaped the fates of worlds. Daniel felt a chill of pride mixed with fear. Yes, but they never knew it. That's why we need to be careful now. This is bigger than the Union, bigger than any war or treaty. It's about understanding life itself. The soft hum of the ship seemed louder in the room. Ilaris extended her hand, her crystals glowing gently, and for the first time Daniel noticed a subtle warmth emanating from them. It was not just light, it felt like energy, like a living memory of her people reaching toward him. You are bold, human, she said, stepping closer, to approach me with these discoveries, knowing the danger they carry. You risked not only your career, but your life. Daniel looked down, unsure what to say. I only wanted the truth to be known. She studied him, her eyes narrowing slightly. And you may have succeeded. Or you may have unleashed chaos. History will judge your courage later. For now we face what has come to us. Her tone shifted suddenly, sharper now. The Union will not be pleased to hear that humans played the role of creators. Other species may see it as an insult, a claim of superiority, and some may attempt to exploit this knowledge for power. Daniel nodded, understanding the danger immediately. Then we need a plan, Captain. We need to control who knows this information and how it spreads. Ilaris's crystals dimmed slightly as she paced to the table, examining the hologram once more. We will study it ourselves first, she said. I will see what traces remain in my people, in our DNA. If humans truly influenced Zathar Prime, then perhaps the pattern still carries knowledge we can unlock. Daniel's eyes widened. Knowledge? He asked. You mean abilities? Memories? Perhaps, Ilaris said, her voice low but steady. If evolution preserved anything from your species, it may still exist in my bloodline. Perhaps in ways we do not yet understand. Perhaps in ways that will surprise even us. Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. The possibilities were staggering. Humans, small and fragile, might have shaped an entire alien civilization, and that civilization in turn could hold the key to understanding the past. And the future. Ilaris turned back toward the viewport, the stars reflected in her eyes. We must be careful, she whispered. But I feel a strange kinship with you, human. Perhaps this is what your species left behind, intentionally or not. A reminder of your place in the galaxy. Daniel looked at her, unsure what to say, but he didn't need words. He could feel it too. The quiet pulse of history, the connection between two species separated by light years, but bound by the threads of creation. For hours, they studied the data together. Every record, every probe, every ancient fragment was examined. Ilaris asked questions, tested theories, and Daniel answered as best he could. They discovered patterns, sequences, and echoes of human influence in ways no one had expected. By the time the ship's artificial night cycle began, a new understanding had emerged. They were not enemies, nor were they strangers. Humans and Zathari shared a hidden history, one that could change everything if revealed. Ilaris finally stood, her figure silhouetted against the starlit viewport. Her crystals pulsed with a soft glow, slower now, almost thoughtful. You may be right, Lieutenant, she said. Your people planted the seeds, but my people, we grew them. And perhaps now, we will remember. Daniel nodded, feeling a sense of awe he could not describe. For the first time, the vastness of space felt smaller, and the connections between species felt far greater than he had ever imagined. Weeks passed on the Virella, and the quiet hum of the ship was filled with a different energy. Daniel Cross had become a constant presence at Captain Ilaris Vin's side, poring over ancient Terran files, genetic records, and holographic archives. The discovery of humanity's connection to Zathar Prime had changed everything on the ship. Ilaris moved differently now. Less the untouchable captain, more a thinker, a strategist, and at times, a student of the past she had never known. Her crystals pulsed softly, sometimes in sync with the data flowing through the ship's systems, as if responding to the presence of something older and more powerful than either she or Daniel could explain. One evening, the ship's sensors detected a massive anomaly at the edge of the Calith sector. It was a derelict structure orbiting a dying sun, massive and humming with energy signatures that mirrored the patterns of Ilaris's crystalline back. The readings made the bridge crew uneasy, and Daniel's heart raced when he saw the reports. "That's impossible," he whispered, staring at the display. "Those energy signatures, they match her crystal pattern perfectly." Ilaris studied the readings without a word. Her crystal pattern pulsed brighter, as if reacting to the signals. "It is familiar," she said quietly. "Too familiar." The anomaly was an ancient star forge, an enormous forgotten machine built in the earliest days of the galaxy. According to the ship's limited records, it was designed to seed life on barren planets, dispersing genetic material and biosignals to create new species, but it had been abandoned for millennia, drifting near the dying sun where no Union ship dared to go. Daniel frowned. "You mean, this forge might be the same system that started your people?" Ilaris's eyes glowed faintly. "It is likely," she said. "And now it is active." The readings confirmed it. The forge was awakening on its own, scanning the surrounding space and emitting pulses that could alter DNA across nearby planets. If left unchecked, it could reshape or even erase life entirely. Daniel swallowed hard. "We have to stop it." "But how?" Ilaris stepped forward, her voice calm but filled with command. "I will interface with the forge directly. It recognizes the Zathari pattern as a key. My crystals, they are the access point." Daniel's eyes widened. "You can control it?" Ilaris nodded. "Perhaps, but it will not be simple. The system is old and unpredictable. One wrong move and it could destroy everything in this sector." The Varela changed course, moving carefully toward the star forge. The closer they got, the stronger the energy pulses became. The ship's shields hummed in response, and the crew felt a strange, almost magnetic pull toward the anomaly. When they reached the orbit of the dead sun, the forge was revealed in full, a colossal ring of black metal, etched with glowing symbols and channels of unknown energy. The structure pulsed with light in perfect sync with Ilaris's crystal pattern. She approached the control interface, her tall figure outlined by the forge's glow. Her crystals flared as she connected with the system, her hands hovering over the holographic controls. Daniel watched from a safe distance, holding his datapad like a lifeline. "Stay calm," she said, her voice steady but quiet. "This is part of the pattern. I can feel it. It recognizes me." As she interfaced, the crystals on her back began to shimmer violently. Streams of light extended from her body into the forge, flowing through the circuits, syncing with the massive machinery. The system hummed louder, almost like it was alive, testing her, measuring her, acknowledging her presence. Daniel watched in awe and fear. "Captain, it's responding to you? Like it knows you?" Ilaris nodded, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "It does know me, and I must guide it, or it will act on its own instincts." The forge began scanning nearby planets, its pulses growing stronger, rearranging genetic sequences in the systems around them. The crew held their breath as Ilaris's connection strengthened. "Hold steady," she murmured. "I can feel it trying to remember. It remembers humanity's touch, the original signal." Daniel's heart raced. "You mean it's trying to reconnect with humans?" "Partially," Ilaris said. "But it is older than humans now. It has grown, evolved. It wants to complete its original purpose. I must redirect it." For hours she worked, her crystals flaring in patterns that mirrored the forge's signals. Daniel assisted with calculations, feeding her the ancient Terran codes that could stabilize the process. Slowly, carefully, they guided the Star Forge's power away from inhabited worlds, redirecting it into the void. The forge pulsed once, twice, and then, with a final resonant hum, it quieted. The energy streams dissipated into the dark, leaving only the black metal of the abandoned ring spinning silently in orbit. Ilaris withdrew her hands from the controls, her body trembling from the effort. Daniel rushed to her side. Captain, are you okay? She nodded slowly, her crystals dimming to a soft glow. The forge is contained. Its energy no longer threatens life in this sector. Daniel exhaled, relief flooding him. That was incredible. You controlled it, Captain. You actually controlled it. Ilaris's gaze drifted to the stars. It was not me alone. It was the pattern. Something ancient embedded in both humanity and Zathari alike. Something that remembered the creators and the children they birthed. Daniel stepped closer, almost in awe. You mean, we share it, humanity left it behind, and your people carry it forward. That's why I recognize the crystals. That's why I couldn't stop looking. Ilaris turned slowly, her glowing eyes meeting his. Yes, the pattern remembers, and now, so do I. For a long moment, neither spoke. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, distant and eternal. The ship was quiet, the crew watching with quiet awe as their captain, an alien warrior, processed a truth that transcended species, time, and even the galaxy itself. Finally, Ilaris spoke. You stared at my back, human, because something inside you remembered. Not consciously, perhaps, but instinctively. Your people may have forgotten, but the pattern never did. Daniel nodded, unable to find words. He realized now that it was more than curiosity that had driven him. It was recognition, a memory encoded deep in the fabric of life. Ilaris's eyes softened. You may have thought you were small and fragile, human, but you were never just that. You created possibilities. You shaped the fate of worlds without knowing it. And for that, you deserve recognition. Daniel felt a strange warmth at her words, pride mixed with awe. Thank you, Captain. But what now? Ilaris's gaze returned to the stars. Now we continue. The galaxy is vast, full of mysteries, and there is much to learn. The forge has awakened memories, and we must ensure that knowledge is used wisely. We must protect life and honor those who came before us. Daniel watched as she moved toward the viewport, her crystals dimming softly, reflecting the light of distant suns. He realized that the captain, the warrior, the leader of Zathar Prime, was now something more, an inheritor of both alien strength and human origin. The ship's systems beeped softly, indicating that the forge's last pulses had been redirected safely into deep space. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. We did it, he whispered. Ilaris's eyes flicked toward him. No, Daniel. You did it. I merely followed the pattern. Humanity planted the seed, and Zathari nurtured it. Together we finished what was begun eons ago. The bridge crew watched in silence, feeling the weight of history in that room. Two species, once separate, now connected through creation, survival, and memory. The galaxy itself seemed smaller somehow, bound by threads of life that stretched across light years and centuries. Ilaris turned fully to Daniel, her voice low but firm. You may have stared at my back, human, but now you see clearly. We are not enemies, not strangers. We are partners, and the universe will remember us as such. Daniel bowed his head slightly, respect and wonder in his eyes. I understand, Captain, and I will do everything I can to honor that connection. Ilaris smiled faintly, a rare expression on her usually stoic face. Good, let us continue our journey then. There are worlds to protect, mysteries to uncover, and a galaxy that still has much to teach us. The stars outside the Varela shimmered like distant fires, silent witnesses to the union of two species, and the awakening of a pattern older than the stars themselves. Somewhere in the depths of interstellar space, the echoes of creation pulsed once more, quiet but undeniable, a testament to humanity's Zathari and the infinite possibilities they had set in motion together. Daniel took a deep breath, watching the captain. He knew that nothing would ever be the same. Not for humans, not for Zathari, not for the galaxy. And in the quiet glow of her crystals, he finally understood what had drawn him to stare. Not curiosity, not fear, but memory, legacy, and a bond that spanned the stars. The universe waited, and now so did they.